My name is Robert Veeder. I've been sober since November 1st, 2003. So I hear this a lot. I hear the personification of addiction. I hear people say that their addiction is in the background doing push-ups even while they're sober. And so I think what they're talking about is sort of the disease aspect of addiction. So addiction is a brain disease, and that is true. That disease is continually progressing even while I'm sober. Unfortunately, sometimes this gets misconstrued, I think. What I watch people do is create sort of a fear model of recovery, a fear-based model of recovery. What I watch happen in the rooms is people start talking about like how bad things were and they never want to go back there, and that can be useful. First started coming around 12-step recovery rooms when I was about 18 years old. They didn't do this intentionally, but people would sort of talk about the worst things that ever happened to them while they were under the influences of drugs and alcohol. And it almost became like a competition to see who was the worst person in the room, you know. And, I was 18. Back then there weren't many young people in recovery, and so mostly it was like mostly older white men, you know. Everybody chain smoked cigarettes. If you wanted the non-smoking section, you had to lay on the floor. They would tell these just horror stories, you know, of like, I used to beat up little old ladies with baseball bats, you know. Well, I had never done any of that shit, you know. And I would listen to their stories and I'd think like, oh, I don't qualify, you know. And so they didn't mean to, but they had done me a huge disservice, you know, because I'd listen to them thinking like, oh, I'm not like them, I'm different, you know. I had never been to hit the bottoms that they had hit. For me, what I realized was that my addiction isn't always bad, you know. That the truth is that when I drink or when I use drugs or alcohol, things can go south very quickly, and I can wind up in jails, I can wind up in institutions, I can wind up killing people, you know. I mean, that's the reality of it. I've been through all of those things, you know. But not all the time, you know. A lot of times I'm a good time. A lot of times I don't end up getting obliterated, and that even became sort of a pattern of my own use, because I would sort of test it. I'd go out and I'd sit down at a bar and I'd go like, I'm just going to have a beer tonight and make sure that everything's okay, because that's what it said to do in the Alcoholics Anonymous Big Book, was like, if you're not sure, just go test it. And I'd go to the bar and I'd have a beer and I'd go, wow, you know, nothing happened. It turns out I'm okay, you know. And sometimes that would be true. I'd go home. And then sometimes I'd go out and I'd have a beer and I'd wind up in Atlanta. What finally became the truth for me was that I can't tell you what's going to happen if I drink or use drugs. I just don't know, you know. It might be okay. It might not. And that's not why I'm sober today, you know. I don't stay sober out of fear. I stay sober because I've got a really good life and I don't want to mess that up, you know.